The Angry Chicken Hearthstone podcast is produced by amove.tv. Check out amove TV for more podcasts covering Blizzard games. For more of Jocelyn's gaming podcasts, visit jossplays.com. And to find many more podcasts with Ridiculous Hat, follow @RidiculousHat on Twitter. Every episode of TAC is made possible thanks to our legendary patrons over at patreon.com/TAC.
Time's up. Let's do this.
Legendary!
You face Jaraxxus. You smell like a leopard gnome. I knew it. So hot.
A podcast about Hearthstone and Battlegrounds. This is The Angry Chicken!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Angry Chicken. I'm your host, Jocelyn. I'm joined today by Ridiculous Hat, and Garrett's not here, but we do have a wonderful, fantastic guest who hasn't been here in way too long. We have Jonathan Vigil joining us today as well. Hello, Vigil. Hello, Hat.
Hello, guys. How's it going?
It's pretty good. Hopefully, chat room's telling me that they can't hear anything, so maybe it's not working.
I mean, we had to Frankenstein this whole audio and video thing, but I think it's good. So hopefully it works.
Okay. They're saying only the intro didn't work. So as long as you guys can hear the sound of our voices, I'm going to count that as a win. So yeah, I'm really excited about this episode today, guys. We've got what is almost speaking of Frankenstein things, a Frankenstein mailbox smooshing together with patch notes episode for you today. It's going to be a lot of fun. But before we get right into it, I wanted to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/TAC. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. If you would like to support the show, then you can get access to our amazing TAC Discord server. This week, we would like to thank Timothy Cawley, KVH, for supporting the show, as well as John Belts for increasing their pledge. So thank you guys so much for supporting us over at patreon.com/TAC. Now, it's going to be, I guess, a bit of a short show this week because we're going to jump right into emails. This week, we have an email from Vigil.
You want to play the bumper? I have the bumper.
Maybe you should play it because apparently no one can hear my bumper. So,
all right, let's go. Bumper time.
Hello.
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, did you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
Okay, so I want to preface this by saying I wrote this prior to being on the show. So I wrote this not to like hype myself up or anything. Like this was an email I wrote to actually ask the host. So I'm not going to read it verbatim. I'm just going to talk about it and see what you guys feel. So I believe it's in the show notes though, right? If you do happen to want to read it verbatim, but that's...
Oh yeah, no, I put it in the show notes.
Yeah, that's neither here nor
It's
there.
also in the TAC Patreon Discord. If you're in the TAC Patreon Discord, you get to see direct communication with Vigil. Just sign up today.
That's true. That's true. So long story short, I haven't been playing as much Hearthstone as I normally do. And I think the reason for that is there's just so much to do within the client that it's kind of overwhelming. So like I'll sign in and I'll be like, okay, like cool, I can play standard, which is my normal game mode. But if I play standard, I'm neglecting Battlegrounds, and I really want to play Battlegrounds, and I want to up my MMR, and I want to, get better there. And now there's Mercenaries, and the commitment to Mercenaries, it's like you almost can't play other modes if you want to progress Mercenaries to the point where you can be competitive PvP. Like you have to really, really, really grind that out. So I feel like if you're in any specific mode, you have to just ignore the other ones. And that's not how I want to play Hearthstone. Like I want to be involved in everything Hearthstone related because I love the game. I've been playing it since beta. Like I said in the email, I've been either Legend or Dad Legend every single month since it came out. Battlegrounds in between 6 and 7K. Not great, but I
Hey,
like the mode.
7K is decent.
Okay.
That puts us in the top 20%.
Sure. So, but I like the mode a lot. And there's duels. I genuinely, I know Garrett is not a fan of duels, but duels, I really like the mode. It's just, I can't wrap my head around another meta. Like I can't even like think about like, oh my God, there's this, there's treasures and there's, what cards are good in your starting deck and all this and all that. And it's just, I can't even fathom that. So it's like, for me, I was just, long story short, do you guys feel that the current state of Hearthstone is dividing its player base too much? Or do you guys feel like it's more of like an embarrassment of riches and we should be stoked to have all these things to do within the Hearthstone client?
It's kind of a question that we've been asking ourselves ever since Mercs was announced, but I feel like I totally understand where you're coming from. Like before, it kind of felt like there was Hearthstone and then there was Arena, or there was, I don't even want to call it standard because that was even before that. You kind of had the two ways to play. You were limited or the normal Hearthstone. And then that split into standard and wild, and then you had 3, and then you had, well, I guess technically you had Tavern Brawl before that. And then we had 4 things because we had Arena and we had Tavern Brawl and then we had standard and then we had wild. And at that point in time, it was starting to feel like a lot to keep track of. And you could almost like pick one and not feel like you were too far out of the loop. But I agree. It's like they've made so many fun things now, which is good, but that means that I log into the client and I totally get the feeling that you're going after, that overwhelmed feeling like, oh my God, okay, I want to play this and this and this and this, and I have 20 minutes. What button do I push? The X. Like, this is too much. I'm going to go find something easier. So you're right too about keeping track of metas, because everything is just so different now. Like the wild meta is completely different than the standard meta, is completely different than duels, is completely different than, well, like BGs and Mercs are their own freaking games. Like they don't even pull from the same card collection. So it's a lot for sure. I can definitely see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and I mean, I like I said, I've been playing since the beginning, and so I own all the cards. I can play wild. It's just that is already overwhelming on its own. Like, I just like standard because of the limited card pool. It's a lot easier to kind of understand and wrap my head around. It's just like, I want to play duels. I want to get good at it. I just don't have the time. I want to play Mercs because Mercs was fun, but it's like to play like actual, competitive PvP, you have to spend so much time to do this, and like my standard rank suffers and all this stuff, and I honestly, like, every time I log in, I'm like, I just don't have the drive to go to any one specific mode. I'm like, I'm just gonna play a different game, And I love Hearthstone. Like I've played it every single day in some capacity, whether it's a lot or a game or two, every single day since it came out. And there was a while, the last month, like where I just haven't been logging in and I haven't been playing. Like I let my quests pile up, and I've never been that kind of guy. Like I usually get my quests, do them every day, and then log off. And it's just, I haven't been doing that. And I still love the game, but it's like, I don't know. I'm just feel overwhelmed.
So there are 2 different discussions to be had here, as always. There's what's happening objectively and what is the feeling. And those are 2 very separate things. I have theories on both. The short version, Vigil, I think your feelings are shared by quite a few. I think that this is a thing that a lot of folks are going through. Also, doesn't help that the timing of this expansion is officially, I'm going to say it, the weirdest ever. The mini set being 3 months in, and then we just got a nerf. And if I were a gambling person, a gambling man, as it were, I would bet on December 7th for the next expansion. Here is why. Blizzard is off the last 2 weeks of the year. They need a week and some change to do a balance patch, and they do a balance patch right after the launch of every expansion. So that means Thursday, December 19th is their last window. They do patches every 2 weeks or so, because that's how agile software development works, which means we should get this one the one that we're due for with the nerf patch that we're going to talk about, probably next Tuesday or next Thursday, the 16th or 18th. Then we have one in the first week of December, probably Thursday the 2nd, which is the pre-patch for the expansion on the 7th. And then the follow-up patch on the 16th for balance. Then they're off for 2 weeks. Just throwing it out there. We just got the mini set. Before that, it feels like we just got Mercs, and then people have been talking about Mercs for the whole time. And then also the other modes kind of had nothing, and now we have everything. And then also reveals are probably going to start like next week.
Yeah.
Which, when did that happen?
It feels really odd that we are so potentially close, like less than a month or bang on a month from an expansion, right? Like, we've heard nothing. Yeah. We kind of thought we might hear something last week or this week. Now, we're only halfway through the week. We could still hear something tomorrow. But because this is like normal, air quotes, BlizzCon time, right? So we would be getting an expansion announcement at BlizzCon. That's been their pattern every freaking time. So I think like maybe just with all the other stuff, like maybe we're not the only ones that are overwhelmed. Maybe the dev team's a little bit overwhelmed too. And they're like, oh my God, okay, here's Mercs and here's the mini set. And oh my God, we got a new expansion that has to go out. Here's all the content. We're sorry.
I mean,
well, and they have to give the mini set room to breathe too. Like it just came out.
It did. It just came out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You know, they've had all this stuff in the pipeline. Obviously, this is not something you can just you can just make happen out of the blue. I do think they could have timed things a little bit better to where it was like, because metas get stale and they get, and there's you're just going through the motions and stuff. They could have spaced it out where it was like, a couple weeks of this, bam, couple weeks of this, bam, couple weeks of this, bam. But it's like, it just feels like so much at one time that it just, I don't know, man. I've never felt like this in playing this game, like ever. Yeah. Like, it's crazy feeling.
I'm not even 100% sure if they really could have spaced it out any better, to be honest, just because like Hat, you said how like agile their development team has been. With the like nerfs and buffs and all kinds of stuff, like we haven't really had a solid kind of meta. There was probably a stretch of like maybe a month there where stuff didn't really change, and maybe they could have slammed Mercs in there a couple of weeks earlier. But I still think like with all the things, like if you count nerfs and buffs, which I think they generally change the meta enough that they should be counted as at least shakeups, like new stuff to learn, right? Then you've got, your expansion and then usually nerfs like within a week or two. And then you've got your like new modes launching. You've got new stuff coming in for Battlegrounds. You've got, now we're going to have new stuff coming in for Mercs too, right? Like they're trying to add new stuff to Mercs every month. Then you've got the mini set, and then you've got to do, new expansion announcement again and start that whole cycle again. So you're looking at doing somewhere between, and that's if you don't need any other nerfs and buffs, because those, we can have any number of those through that 3 month to 4 month cycle. It's like you're literally looking at changes to Hearthstone every 2 to 3 weeks, which is insane. We have never seen a pace of content release like this before.
Yeah. And the issue with the mini set this time, Dean Ixar on Twitter, he came out and said it. The mini set was supposed to come out October 12th with Mercs, but they couldn't get the two patches in the same client at the same time. This was delayed because of tech. That's what happened. They couldn't get it out. It was supposed to come out when every other mini set comes out 2 months after launch. Delayed it 3 weeks. So it was a stale period where the last change we had was September 21st. And we went from that until last Tuesday, the 2nd, which is like 6 weeks with no constructed changes, which is an eternity in modern Hearthstone. It's usually a month on the dot. And we were supposed to get more, but it didn't. But John, to speak to your point of being overwhelmed, I think there's an objective reason why it's happening. It's because of the structure of Mercs, and I think it's flawed. They know about this. Every other mode in Hearthstone, you can log in once every 3 days and clear your quests. With Mercs, you miss it that day, you feel behind because it's all daily refreshes. And if you don't clear your task board, you feel behind. And it's very, very easy to feel caught up, but it's also very, very easy that, just like if you're in a WoW raiding guild and you don't do your world quests and you don't do your dailies, you got to log in every day and do your WoW chores, because if you don't, then you're behind. Yep. It's not. This is not a WoW
fun.
show. No.
Oh no,
But
I
yeah, it's
wasn't
not fun.
hooting at the WoW show. I was hooting at the daily chores. Like daily chores is a thing I never want in the description of my video game. That is my fun times.
So Mercs doesn't have any task stacking right now. It's do them every day or you miss out on the reroll. And the feeling of missing out is terrible. So when people fall off of Mercs, they tend to fall off pretty hard. I think it makes the mode more accessible to have some kind of task stacking. They originally were only going to refresh 2 tasks a day, but they bumped that up immediately because the mode had some other structural issues on launch, and they didn't want to hold people back because, like you said, Vigil, again, endgame PvP is such a huge time grind. I play Mercs every day. I do my dailies every day. I am nowhere near ready for endgame PvP. I did task farming today in the train. I am nowhere near ready for it. It's a huge time commitment. I'm cool with getting there eventually, but I'm not pushing for it. But I log in and do that every day. And I log in and I play standard pretty much every day. And I have not played a battleground, a single battleground, since Mercenaries came out. It's been a month. Have not played it's just not a part of the game that exists anymore for me. And I recognize it is the main game mode for a bunch of people, including multiple of my co-hosts. And it's a dope game.
Well, I think it's
great,
probably
and I'm glad.
It's Garrett's main game mode. I would still say standard is mine for sure.
But you like BGs,
but I do
and
like
you'll
BGs.
pop into
yeah,
it.
I usually play 1 or 2 a day. Yeah.
See, for me, Mercenaries, when it first came out, day one, I was like, this is awesome. This is so much fun. Like, I really like this mode. Cleared out everything as much as I could do. Like just grinding PvE. Day 2, did my quests, went on PvP. I played 3 or 4 games of PvP, won them all. And I was like, this is awesome.
Were you facing AI? No offense.
Probably. I didn't even pay attention. I'm sure I did.
Because I think that was an issue in the first couple of days too, is that there were lots of people facing AI.
Yeah, I'm sure I was facing AI. I don't even pay attention, but it's like I was just doing it because it was new and it was fresh, and then I didn't play for a couple of days, and I logged back in, and I was like, there's so much to do. Like if I spend my couple hours that I have to play games only playing Mercs, that's not what I want to do. Like, I want to play Mercs, but I don't want to spend the couple hours that I have to play only on Mercs and to only increase it by 0.5% of the total thing. And then now I don't even Mercs doesn't even exist to me because there's no chance I could catch up. And I just don't even want to bother.
Same. I feel so far behind that I'm just eh. It makes it feel like I'm just never going to PvP. I might eventually get to it. Like I was talking about the first week that it released. It's kind of if I have absolutely nothing else to do, I'll play the single player to level up my stuff. But it lives in that single player time for me. And it's not a strong enough single player experience to drive me to spend time in it. So yeah, I'm with you, Vigil. That button basically doesn't exist for me anymore, which is very much like Hat with Battlegrounds. It almost feels like you have to pick, right? You can do one to the point that you're super duper ultra mega legend unless Hearthstone is your absolutely only game and you play 18 hours a day. Or you can pick 2 and be halfway decent at 2 modes. But once you get more than that, I'm just nope, sorry. There aren't enough hours in the day.
There's no chance. And it's not to get even more meta on Hearthstone, but Hearthstone was the first game for me that was genuinely PvP. It was the first real PvP game I played. I got into Magic after. I got into other PvP games after, but I got into Hearthstone and I was I like this time commitment of being a game lasts, 3 to 10 minutes, depending on what you're playing against. And it's I like being able to queue in, play, compete with other players and be done. Hearthstone killed PvE games for me. And not that that's a bad thing. It's just, I've never gone back to a PvE game once I got into PvP games, and Hearthstone was the reason I got into PvP games. And now all I can do is play PvP games. So PvE for me is I find is zero enjoyment. I'm Like
Hearthstone ruined you for other games.
It really did. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just like, I haven't genuinely picked up a PvE game and been like, this is awesome. Like there are games that are awesome. Like I like, you know, Bloodstained or Hades. Like I know how likes Hades. Like, you know, and most recently Metroid. Like I played them and I'm like, this is awesome. But then I'm like, I would rather just spend my time playing like 5-minute PvP games, which is what I want to do. And it's like, I can't do that in Mercenaries. So that mode is just not a thing for me, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, like, I never really thought of it that way, but I have a very similar kind of relationship with Hearthstone. I was playing World of Warcraft before I started Hearthstone, but like just questing and leveling up my character. Like I wasn't doing any PvP stuff. And then I started playing Hearthstone, and then I started playing like PvP and WoW. I started to play more games like Heroes of the Storm. I started to play Dead by Daylight. And you're right, like all of those experiences are the ones that I go to all the time now. Like I love me a good single player game, and I'll play through stuff like I love Days Gone. I love like the Assassin's Creed games and like all that kind of stuff. But it's like, there's just something about PvP titles that just really get your blood pumping and you don't kind of get that like competitive adrenaline feeling in a PvE game, or at least I don't. And I never really thought about like Hearthstone being that like gateway drug to PvP games.
It really is though. Like Hearthstone was the PvP game that severely knocked PvE games down an entire peg. Like, you know, like I grew up on Super Nintendo was my console of choice. Like I played every game you could think of on Super Nintendo. Like role-playing games were my favorite. Like, and now thinking about starting a role-playing game is just like, I don't have time for that. I'd rather just play Hearthstone. Like I'd rather just play like a 5-minute, 10-minute game and be done. Like, oh, I have to leave, or I can play another game. Oh, I can, whatever, you know. It's like the thought of just playing like PvE games. And that's why like I don't want to spend my time playing PvE if I'm in the Hearthstone client. I want to play PvP. So if I could give them X amount of money to be able to play competitive mercs, I would do that. Like I would much rather do that than spend hours and hours.
Do not give them ideas like selling XP coins or something.
True. But it's like I just don't have it in me to play PvE games anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, you can level stuff up in PvP, right? It's just you're going to get your butt kicked, right?
Yeah, it's still a grind. It's what people want to do when they PvP is they want to play with the cool endgame unlocked characters against cool endgame unlocked characters. Like imagine if you see a really cool standard deck list, and instead of copying the code and then going to play in 1 minute, you have to go play 4 hours of Tavern Brawls first to unlock the first 10 cards in the deck. You can't, it's just, the mode has objective structural issues. They're aware of it. They put out the big blog article about like, here are the things that are coming next. The mode right now, you have to do both PvE and PvP to really get the most out of it. And you have to play it the way they want you to play it instead of the way you want to play it. They will fix it. It will get better. But right now, if you don't do it exactly the one way, something loses you somewhere. Either you want to do more PvP, you're forcing the PvE. You don't want to do PvP, you're stuck with the PvE. Or you want to do both, but then you have to grind a bunch of tasks, which is not really much of either. There are structural issues and accessibility issues. A lot of different ways for people to lose the mode, not a lot of ways for people to get caught up in it. And that's not really where they want to be. However, that is the objective part. The subjective part, this is where human psychology gets interesting because you would think, oh, I have this game that has so much in it that I can't possibly get to it all. That means I'll just have more game waiting for me later, right? That's how the human brain works. Wrong. Fear of missing out drives us in such a major way, especially with how our brains have been rewired over the past couple of years. With the world being the way it is. And also with Hearthstone. Hearthstone is the Twitter of games, and now you don't go on Facebook anymore, Vigil. That's what I just heard. So you only have the attention span for one tweet at a time. And like, I'm right there with you. Believe me. But the idea of there's more to do when I'm ready for it is not really how we operate. We operate on, I want to play all the cool stuff in this mode. There are 3 buttons on the main screen. If I only have time for 2 of them, I'm picking one to cross out. I don't like crossing things out. That's not a choice I should make in my game. It reminds me of when I switched from cable to Netflix, and I would scroll through every bar on the Netflix screen for 20 minutes and then just be like, what's on TV? Because I don't want to have to choose. That shouldn't be my job during my hobby time. And Hearthstone is now making me choose of what I give up, and that's not fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question, Hat.
Okay.
Because I know you got the Mercs, like you got to play it before it officially came out and stuff. Do you think having a fully leveled unlocked account, do you think it soured the actual game a little bit for you, knowing that like, this was awesome, this was fun to have, but it's like to get from point A to point B is going to take me so long that maybe I don't like this game as much as I could like if I just got it straight out of the gate?
There are people who did that, but I like Slay the Spire. I like the PvE. I logged into the fully unlocked endgame account one time. I played one PvP game against Raren. I got destroyed. I had no idea what either of our mercs did. No clue. I logged out of it. I went back to the level 1 account. I played some PvE. Then I said, okay, I'm going to ruin this for myself. But like, I wanted to keep logging in and playing more. I do the PvE every day and have fun with it. And then I go into the PvP for my bounties every so often. I'm just over 6K in mercs. And like, I have a decent amount of task 7s and decent amount of leveled stuff, and I still have some coins. I really like the mode. I'm playing the way they want me to play it, which is do your dailies, dip into PvP, play what you have. It might be competitive, it might not. Like, I'm doing exactly what they want people to do, and it works for me, but it doesn't work for most people. But there are plenty of people I spoke to. My co-host Edelweiss was absolutely ruined by the idea of having access to everything. And I know Regis Kilbin stopped doing merc stuff because it just wasn't worth his time to get to the fun part. And that's really where they have the biggest mistake. They didn't expect the level of high-end competitive engagement that they got because they accidentally made a really great game. And that meant the systems just super got in the way, because the part that people want to get to is what you see with those fully leveled unlocked characters, because it's really cool to play them against each other. I know that Mullahu and Wicked Good cast a competitive Mercs tournament this weekend. I watched some of it. Mercs PvP at a high level is awesome. You have no idea what's going to happen. There's these crazy mind games. They get to change equipments between sets, and like, what are they going to do? There are a bunch of choices there. It's fascinating and it's deep, and the vast majority of people can't get there without playing like 100 hours. And that's not, you can't do that. You let people do what they see on TV.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that you're kind of nail on the head right now, because in terms of the comparison to standard, or I mean, like even Battlegrounds is almost like the complete opposite end of the scale, right? Like if I'm sitting here and I'm watching Slissa playing at a high MMR and she's doing like a mech comp, I can log into BGs. I don't have to spend any money. And as long as mechs are in my lobby, I can try that exact same thing. Like there's no barrier to that at all. And then if I'm watching, you know, like the Grandmasters or the Masters Tour or whatever, like I might have to buy some packs or spend some dust, but those decks are immediately, air quotes, available to me. They're more accessible than mercs. I see high-end PvP and mercs in a tournament or whatever, and I'm like, oh, that's 150 hours away. Nope. So yeah, it's definitely a design flaw.
Yeah. But just, they didn't expect people to want to get there so fast, and they didn't expect it to be so good. And the reason that you see people getting so angry about it and lighting social media on fire over mercs is because there's something they want to do that they don't get to do because the endgame PvP is good. I think I mentioned this last week. If not, I'll bring it up again because I like repeating myself. So in customer service, what I learned is that there are 2 fence posts in every human mind, what I want and what I can have. And in between those 2 is Crazy Town. If you live in between those 2 places of what I want, what I can have, that space is where your brain just gets this crazy fight impulse of give me what I want. And what people want to do is play in-game PvP, and they can't have it, and so they're mad. And that's why we hear about it. If people didn't care about mercs, we wouldn't hear about it at all. But that's not where we're at. We hear about it because people want to do it. But it's so far away from everything right now. And I think the systems are actually so flawed structurally that they're causing the feeling, to bring this back, causing the feeling that you have, Vigil, of because you're missing out on one thing now and it's so much more obvious, even the fact that you have to make a choice at all is rough on the player base. And it's not the addition of another game mode. it's the addition of another set of dailies, because it's not one daily, it's 6 dailies. Because you get 5 in Mercs. That's a lot. And BG's is so different, Joss. I think it is the best, worst business decision they ever made, or the worst, best business decision they ever made. They made an incredible game that is impossible to monetize and free for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, but it's so
why we have a gajillion portraits now.
Yeah. And I like the portraits. You know, even the new Edwin one, even the new Edwin one.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that, great question, Vigil. Obviously, we're all kind of in the same sort of headspace of at least having to give up one mode in Hearthstone. But yeah, I think that it all really just comes down to picking the thing that you like the most and not worrying about the fact that there's other things that you just don't have time for. Like, I mean, God, I haven't touched Arena in years. I'm okay with that. I just have to, get Mercs into that headspace too. Go join Arena, Mercs. Go be friends.
For me, traditional Hearthstone and Arena, that's all there was for a long time. And then Wild came, and there was that. And then, Cavern Brawl was its own thing, and then Battlegrounds came out, and so I just feel like every time something big comes out, it just shaves off. Like, people have to decide. Like, it's like someone like Slissa, like she was standard. She was doing tournaments. She was like crushing it. Battlegrounds came out, and she realized that she couldn't do both, and she was like, I'm going to stick to this. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to play. And it's like, for me, like, I like both modes. I like both games. I don't want to give up one or the other. And you have to give up one to be good at the other. Like to be successful in standard, wild, arena, duels, Mercs, Battlegrounds is impossible. It's impossible to be the pro at all those things. So where it's like, doing like a correlation to a game like Magic the Gathering, right? They hold world championships where you have to be proficient and good in every format, but there's like a standard format, there's a modern format, and limited. Like, those are the 3 things. And even then, I'm like, how does one wrap their head around a standard format, essentially a wild format, and then an arena? Like, that alone is overwhelming, let alone like adding a Battlegrounds, adding a duels, adding a Mercs. It's just like, I just am totally overwhelmed. Like, and I just dip my feet in and play a game or two and just do my dailies, and then I'm like, I'm just done with this. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm completely stressed out.
Which is not what you want in your game, right? Like, not what you want in your gaming time, not what the devs should want their player base to feel like. And it would be really interesting to see. And I know that Blizzard is never going to give us this information, but it would be really interesting to see like how many people are playing what modes and for how long, and what those kind of popularities are. And because I know that I can't remember what the stat was, but it was within the last couple of weeks, might have been one of the Ixar's AMAs or something, talking about how many people play Arena. And I'm like, wait, what? I thought there were like 10 of them. Like, no word of a lie. So I think
scale of Hearthstone is just, it's impossible to visualize how many people play every part of Hearthstone. There are some people that just do solo content. They don't want PvP at all. They just do solo content. And that perfectly reasonable way to play, but it's about as foreign from what I do as anything could possibly be. It's there are so many different ways to play right now, but I think it's supposed to feel like a buffet, but instead it feels like a tasting menu where we have to skip a course, and that's just not where we want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Well, that was an awesome chat. We're like halfway through the show now. So thanks, Vigil, so much for your email turned guest appearance. But before we jump into the news, we are going to talk about the balance patch that's coming next week. Before we jump into that, we do have a sponsor to thank. This episode of The Angry Chicken is brought to you by Raycon. It's never too early to start gift shopping for the holidays, especially because today you can save big on a gift they'll use every day, Raycon wireless earbuds. I use mine all the time, especially around the house doing chores, doing things like dishes where I don't want wires to get in the way, or when I'm outside gardening, or before you know it, I'll be shoveling snow. With seamless Bluetooth pairing and a comfortable noise isolating fit, you can start listening right away and keep listening for hours. The audio quality is amazing. It's comparable to what you get from other premium brands, except Raycon starts at half the price. The new everyday earbuds come with 3 new sound profiles to make sure everything you're listening to sounds its best with just the right amount of bass. There's pure mode for podcast listening. There's balanced mode for rock, heavy rock, and metal. And then there's bass mode, because I know you guys love some EDM. Raycon offers 8 hours of playtime and 32 hours of battery life. There's also a built-in mic, so you can take calls on your earbuds at the press of a button. So this holiday season, get them something they can use for calls or music, for work or play, at home, or on the go. Or you can pick up a pair for yourself. Trust me, you're going to use them almost every day. Go to buyraycon.com/tack today to unlock exclusive deals up to 20% off your Raycon order. But hurry, this offer is available for a limited time only, and you don't want to miss it. That's buyraycon.com/tack to unlock up to 20% off your Raycons. buyraycon.com/tack. We thank them for their support, and we thank you for supporting the brands that support The Angry Chicken.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
I am muted. All right. We have a balance patch coming next week. So we're getting all kinds of changes, and we got some information kind of early because we have Masters Tour Undercity, which is actually starting November 19th until the 21st. So even though we don't have official patch notes, they wanted to let us know what card changes were coming down the pipe for those people who are preparing for the Masters Tour, which I'm excited because this is our first Masters Tour in the mini set. Now we've got changes to 4 cards that are maybe potentially going to have an impact. I'm sure Hat can speak to a lot of that in a couple of minutes, but the first change that we're seeing is Razormane Battle Guard. So it used to be a 2 attack, 3 health is now going to be 2 attack, 2 health. And this is the Druid minion that made the taunt minions that you played cheaper. So no change to the effect on the card, just the health on the minion. Good, bad, impactful. Hat, what do we think?
I'm going to ask constructed expert Jonathan Vigil, who's been playing way more constructed than I have for the past 2 days.
That's true. I did play nothing but Hearthstone for the past couple days, knowing that I had to prepare to come on the Angry Chicken.
Which you did not have to do.
Well, I told him specifically not to do this. He ignored us.
Yeah, that's
he said,
true.
No, don't. And then he's like, okay. And then he did.
So here's my take. From what I can tell, from what I've seen from the meta, I got from whatever the bronze, whatever the lowest bronze is, to Diamond 5 in 1 day.
Flex.
Well, like I said, I was preparing for this, but I ran into Token Druid a fair amount, and I don't think the health of this card is the problem. I think the fact that it is a static ability that doesn't go away really sucks. I think it should be a battle cry. The next,
like that turn only, or the next, like with the dragons and stuff.
It could just be like the next taunt you play costs 2 less, because the fact that it's a free taunt every turn in that deck, and a free taunt every turn in that deck, which is crazy. Just be like slam a free taunt, and then there's so many 2 mana taunts that they play. They play the pack mule. They play the 2/3 that when it takes damage, it gets buffed. It buffs its
Bone
attack.
Brawler.
Yeah,
Annoyotron.
Yeah, Noyotron.
Yeah, the
it's
fact
just
that
like
a Noyotron is in the deck and in the meta, I love, but also like what?
Yes.
but
They're
but
doing
like
something busted if they're playing Noyotrons, which is also how I feel about tiny fins. Decks that have tiny fins, I'm like, you're doing something super broken if that's naturally in your deck. I love me a tiny fin, but come on.
because they just dump out all these taunts, they dump out all these cards, and then they play composting. Is that the card where it dies and you draw
can draw a card? Yeah.
So it's like you think that they're like, all right, they have one card in their hand or they have two cards in their hand. They dump their hand and then the last card they play, composting, and you're like, every single time I kill something, it's just going to draw more minions. And
they're taunted too, right?
Too.
So
some squirrels.
Yeah, and they're and I like it going down in health. I think it's good that it's can get killed easier, but I don't think the health was the problem with that card, personally.
And what we're looking at with Taunt Druid was the best deck in the format post mini set. It was very, very strong before the mini set, and then they got Druid of the Reef, affectionately known as Shartle, because it's half shark, half turtle. That's what Shartle is. Of course, I don't think anyone would have any other ideas. That card is local bananas crazy. And also, there's some jerry rig for Sow the Soil situation where you draw the Sow the Soil and split it in half, and you get a 1 mana 2/2, and then 1 mana +1/+0 for your entire board. You can do that. Some people are, some people aren't. The deck's very strong, especially when more people are trying to play board-based stuff, especially Warrior. If you put an Noyotron in the way, then Warrior and Paladin, whatever, they can't really do much, and you rush them down. Your Peasant lives forever. So the thing about a Battle Cry, that's the kind of old school nerf they would have done. The way they nerf now is they sand, they don't slash, they don't destroy. That all the nerfs that they're aiming for, well, a couple of these are pretty significant, but this one is meant to be softer. If you want to beat a super minion heavy deck, you can play Fell Demon Hunter or whatever. Like, you can figure it out, you can do it. But Battle Guard is a really, really, really powerful card. And you're right that the ongoing effect is definitely the big part of it. The reason they're making this change is because if you were playing Shadow Priest, they get 1 free taunt and then you kill it with your hero power. Hunter, kill it with a single 2 damage spell. Mage can do First Flame. Demon Hunter can do Immolation Aura without having to do any funny business. Touch of the Nathrezim, etc., etc. There are so many things that deal 2 and not 3. And the biggest issue that I found when playing against Battle Guard is not that they would play, it's that the removal spell in my hand didn't do enough. So it would stick on board for a few turns, and then they go Teacher's Pet on turn 3, and then I would lose. So now if you've got anything that does 2 damage that can go over the taunt, then you can kill it. Still may be too good, and they said they're going to keep monitoring Taunt Druid. I think there's absolutely a lot of really strong stuff going on with that deck. Arbor Up is a really powerful card. Oracle of Elune creates really gross game states. If that ever lives, the game is over, because then you can do Battle Guard after into double Teacher's Pet, or just like double Peasant and double a Noyo or any other taunt, and you just draw a bunch of cards and the game is over. It's very hard to beat that once it gets going, but you have to set it up. Battle Guard right now doesn't require setup. It comes with its own setup. So I could easily see a world where it gets nerfed again, or if they change something else. But I like this to start because I like not deleting decks, except for the next deck. I like that we delete that one.
Wait, which one are we deleting?
Oh, we're deleting Mage. That's what we're doing.
Okay, we're deleting
next nerf here.
Okay, all right. So this next nerf is to Arcanist Dawngrasp, which is the reward for the Mage quest line. So it used to be that for the rest of your game, you would have spell damage +3, but now you're only going to have spell damage +2. Which, I mean, yeah, that one spell damage change hat you think is enough to delete it completely? I haven't seen that many Mage, honestly. I've seen more people messing around with Hero Power Mage, actually. I got wrecked by Mizaki yesterday. I was like, what even is happening?
That's fascinating. Yeah. I'm jealous. I wish I played against Mizaki. Yeah.
I was like, I'm at 30 health. This will be fine. And then it was like, oh, this is not fine. Oh my God. It was like they were hitting me with 1 mana, like 15 damage spells. I was like, that's just not fair.
It escalates very quickly.
It does.
So, John, did you play against any Mage? I'm just going to ask every question to you, by the way. You're gonna be the recipient. Because I don't know, Joss, have you been playing any standard, Joss?
I have been, but I've been playing Rogue.
Wait a minute, hold on. We're gonna pause for a second here. Hold on. you almost nerfed the Angry Chicken by not talking about your rogue experience. Josh, talk to me.
Well, so I've been playing Rogue, but I have not been playing the Rogue that's going to be impacted by the next change. I've been playing the Quest SI7 Rogue because it's just fun. I'm not good at it, but it's fun.
Mulligan for cards that say SI7, play them, then do the new cards that they give to you.
Yeah.
And just keep doing that until the game's over. It's fine.
There's just, there's choices. I'm not always great at choices in Rogue just because I have so little experience with the class. I'm looking at my hand and I'm like, I recognize this hand. I recognize these cards. I have seen people on streams do ridiculous things with these cards. I don't know what to do. And then I'm pretty sure every one of my opponents is laughing at me when they see what I actually do. They're like, oh, that wasn't the play. And they don't even know what my hand is. They're just like, nah, it wasn't Rogue things. Yeah. But it's fun, actually. It's the first time in a long time I've been having fun with Rogue, so.
Quest Rogue is a very fun deck.
Yeah.
I really like playing that.
So what's our mage experience been as a recipient of the mage experience? How have we been doing facing mages? I think that's been a near constant there have been various flavors of mage for like 8 months, and I think Quest Mage is the most recent incarnation, and also definitely there's been some feelings around Quest Mage. People have feelings.
Well, as someone who used pretty much exclusively aggro pirate warrior to get from bronze to diamond 5, I loved giving into mages because I was like, I'm just gonna beat your face in, and you could freeze all you want, but I'm going to eventually demolish you. So they were for me they were auto wins, just the deck I was playing. But I know that Quest Mage on its own was so frustrating to play against because they do all this stuff. They play all these cards, they have the fire card that makes their next fire card cost, 2 less. And then they use the 1 fire card to level up their quest. And then they use the next free fire one to get the next tick. And you're like, this is just never ending. And then they finally run out of cards and they finally play Dawn Grasp. And you're like, okay, all right, this is it. I got him on the ropes. I'm going to win. And then they're like, oh, just kidding. Cram session.
Yeah, cram session and draw
5 cards. And you're like, are you kidding? Or 4 cards. You're like, are you kidding me, dude? This is miserable. This is a miserable experience. And they ignite, draw 5 cards, ignite. They discovered they discovered the tradable card off the spell damage, the primordial studies. Oh, they traded in for an ignite. Hit you again. It's like,
what do you know?
God.
Another ignite. Yeah.
I fully back this as someone who's both played a good amount of spell mage and who's taken advantage of spell mage opponents. I fully back this. I think this is a great one. It already seemed though like it was kind of on the outs anyway. It didn't seem like, at least in my experience, it didn't seem like I was queuing up against that many mages. But when I did, I always demolished them. But I honestly didn't come into contact with that many. I would say maybe 10 total on my climb. Maybe at max.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that sound right, Hat? I mean, you're more of the numbers and meta.
Yeah,
guy.
I definitely have your games in front of me. I'm counting 10 games that you played against the mage.
I just mean overall in the meta.
So the mini set made the deck less popular because our good buddy Mr. Smite, who I'm sure that you have been very good acquaintances with, along with Defias Cannoneer. You just get to hit the mage with so many balls now. Like it's just like a lot.
All the balls come out. All the balls come out.
Yeah. And so the mage got worse because there's more neutral charge damage. There's more damage overall. Warrior's not really all that much of a favored matchup. You're just that good. But Defias Cannoneer along with Mr. Smite really makes a big difference there. But Incanter's Flow-based mage decks that kill you with burn have been happening since March 30th. And it's time for mage to do something else or maybe take a break for a minute. The main reason why I think this is a great nerf. Part of it is the cram session situation. Part of it is that Fire Sale no longer kills 6/6s, so Handlock can still stick a board there. The main thing that I like about this, Mage isn't currently oppressive in terms of win rate. It's not that great of a deck. It's barely in the tier 2, tier 3 threshold, like around 49, 50% win rate. It's not an outlier, but people love playing it so much. So what they did, they hit the only legendary in the deck so you can cash out, get your dust back, and do something else. This is the only way to make people play the deck less, is give them their money back. This is the only time they nerf the legendary. It's the only legendary in the deck. It reminds me of when they nerfed Brand and Highlander Hunter. Highlander Hunter was still fine, but people have been playing it for so long. They're just like, all right, I'll do something else now, thanks to the dust. So people will play less Mage because they won't own the quest anymore. And fewer people owning the quest means we'll see it less on ladder, and seeing it less on ladder means fewer people will have a cram into Ignite story.
Hooray!
Hooray!
And so the next change that's coming that we alluded to during our Rogue talk is that, now, did we decide how you say this properly? Is it Garrot or Garrote?
That's all she Garrote.
Okay, that's literally going to be in my head every single time now. It's like how I spell because of some stupid rhyme that some kid said in grade 1.
That's also the title of the show now. So
okay, so Garrote used to say, deal 2 damage to the enemy hero, shuffle 3 bleeds into your deck that deal 2 more when drawn, but now it is going to be deal 2 damage to the enemy hero and shuffle 2 bleeds into your deck that deal 2 more when drawn. So a little bit of nerf to that deck. Removing one of their bleeds, I think is pretty significant, right? Like, if you're sitting there, like, you have to create a lot more spell damage if you want to get the same damage output now out of that deck. So maybe less OTKing.
So this deck, I don't love talking about it because there's no way to talk about this deck without sounding like an elitist. Garrote Rogue did not really perform outside of very high MMR brackets. Like, statistically, outside of like top 1000 legend, it was below 50% win rate.
This is where Hat tells us he had like an 85% win rate with the deck.
No, I hate playing this deck. It's so much work. It's so hard to play. It's so much work. You have to keep track of so much stuff. You can't play it on mobile without a tracker unless you're some big brain guy. And I am not that good with it. I enjoy Rogue, but I enjoy like Rogue where you play minions and then your opponent's like, I don't know how I died, but I got hit for 2 a bunch of times and then they killed me with Wicked Stabs. Like, that's my Rogue. This is full combo, draw your entire deck by turn 7, carefully manage your resources, then kill them. Exactly. It's so much work.
Too
it's
much
such a pain
thinking.
to play. Yeah, you have to be really, really good to make it work. Outside of top 1K Legend, it was barely 50% win rate. Outside of Legend, it was barely tier 4. Like, it just really did not scale down at all. But for the top players, it was unbelievable. Super duper good, really hard to counter. I mean, and Joss, I'm sure you watched Master Store Stormwind again, where Fury Hunter is the only human being that built a successful anti-rogue strategy, because otherwise everyone else just lost to rogues. And it's not really a good idea to have a strategy at the high level where it's impossible to counter and it kills you on turn 7 from hand. And this makes it so much harder to use when it was already really taxing that a lot of people will just give it up. And there are other rogue strategies worth exploring. So I don't know if this kills it, but I think it dramatically reduces interest in the deck. And the main reason the deck was popular was because of interest in it. And now I think even if you the margins are just so razor thin, I just don't think it's going to be worth it for the vast majority of the player base. And there are other things to do that are worth doing. It also can't possibly beat a Control Warrior now. Before, if you had it was what, 8 total? If you had Guild Trader and you kept all your Shadow Steps, you would end up with +6 spell damage. You would end up dealing, what is this? 64. You would deal 64.
Oh, only 64.
Yeah. So we take away 16 of that now, which is, I mean, this is, again, the full super greedy combo.
The biggest possible, yeah.
Right. But your regular combo with just 2 Garrotes and 2 spell damage was 32, and now it's 24. It's not lethal anymore. Mm-hmm. So like you're forced to include Guild Trader, which players were starting to cut because they didn't have to run a clunky 4-drop anymore. And you could just throw out your Aug Merchants as either battle cries for field contact to cycle or to kill stuff, or both, because 1 damage pings are really useful. So the deck becomes less flexible now, and the reason that it was good at the high level is because of its flexibility. I wouldn't be surprised if it drops off in a really major way. It could still be decent, but I don't think that people are going to stick with it unless they're trying to prove a point.
I'd be really happy if it dropped off and we didn't really see it at Undercity in a couple weeks, because it did feel like it dominated Stormwind. So I'd like to just see a different tournament meta, really. So before we talk about the final change that's coming, this one's actually a buff, or I guess a reversion of a nerf. Our thoughts on Priest are pretty well documented, but Vigil, what do you think about Priest? Are you yay Priest, nay Priest? Like, don't give him any tools because I like that no one plays them, or like I'm a Priest main and give me my renew back?
Priest is by far my most played class.
Oh,
like
really? That's amazing.
By far. Like
I'm so used to Garrett and his delete Priest rants.
Yeah, no, I have maybe, I don't even know, 1,200 wins on most classes, and Priest is over 2,000 wins.
Damn. You're flexing all over the Hearthstone place today.
But in all fairness, a lot of that was like mid-range Dragon Priest. That was my favorite deck of all time.
Secret Agent coming through. That does matter. Yeah. That does matter.
That was fun. But the only Priest that I've played since in forever. Like, I mean, I took a lot of time off. I took the last couple weeks off Hearthstone, but
so much time off, ridiculous.
But for someone who plays every single day, that's a long time. But I played Quest Priest, which let me tell you is not good. I also never, I don't think I ever even cast the reward from the quest ever. Actually, I lied. I did it one time in all my time playing it.
Was it as satisfying as like all the work you put into it? And when you played that card, were you like, yes?
Absolutely not. Okay. Not even close. It was terrible.
That's how I felt like trying to make the boar decks work to get that Sword of 1,000 Truths. I was like, I will get there. And after like 30 games, I was like, I'm not going to get there. And even if I do, it's not worth it.
I didn't even bother with that deck because I knew that there's no way I'm going to get to 1,000 Truths and attack with it. Like, there's no way. But I know Priest was in a bad spot for not a bad spot. It was a very annoying deck to play against. And I played a lot of it, and Renew at that time was a big problem. I'm not sure if Renew going back to 1 is going to be troublesome. People have been playing any Priest I've played against the last couple of days have all been Shadow Priests.
Mm-hmm. Like no one's doing anything else right now.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some sort of Control Priest out there, but no one's playing it, at least from what I've seen. So I don't know if this makes some Control Priest come back this alone. It was problematic in the past for sure. But I don't know. Is the spell pool diluted enough for this to not be a problem? At uh-oh.
Can he not hear us? Uh-oh.
Sad face. He's doing a sad face.
I know. Yeah. Like you said, Vigil, when it was nerfed, it definitely felt like it needed to be nerfed. But I don't know. I feel that there's just so few priests, and the ones you see, you're right, are shadow, that this is probably fine for right now. But we'll have to see. Okay. Hat says he's getting some robot-y issues, but hopefully it'll fix itself. So he'll be back in a second. But yeah, so those are the 4 cards that are seeing changes. So again, Razormane, Battleguard, Arcanist, Dawngrasp, and Garrote are being nerfed. And then Renew is going to be buffed. Hat, do you have any Renew thoughts before we move into Battlegrounds questions?
People are terrified of Control Priest, and they forgot that Elucia got nerfed since then, so kill them however you want, it'll be fine. You can even go back to 10 Woo Alex if you want, it won't matter. Do whatever you want. If they're a Control Priest, they will just sit there and take it, whatever you want to do.
So probably don't expect to see any control priests at all.
I mean, it's like you can do it, but the Barons meta was dominated by control priests at the end, and people remember that in a really major way, and I understand why, because they just were kind of good at everything, and Lucy let them pick apart the combo decks. But if that version of Baron's control priest just died to Wicked Stab 10 Woo Alex or Blightsteel Demon Hunter or whatever every time, you would have natural predators. You know that feeling that you have when you're playing against Mage and you get fireballed down and it feels like there was nothing you could do and you delete the deck and you pick something else to play? That's built into Control Priest anytime you play against a from-hand combo deck. So there is going to be a natural mechanism keeping it from ever getting too popular. So I hope it's a strategy that people get to play, and I hope it's decent, but it'll never be crazy overpowered because it's so easy to target.
I think like what you were saying earlier too, Joss, at the time it got nerfed, it was important that it got nerfed. And I don't think that it reverting back to 1 mana is going to make some sort of controlled priest deck be oppressive and a terrible play experience. It's like they're going to get it off wand makers, but it's like, okay, like I feel like
they're going to be dead by the time they can take
exactly.
advantage of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So the first 3 cards that I mentioned are eligible for your dust refunds. Technically, Renew is changing. It's being buffed. It's not being nerfed, so it is not eligible for dust refunds. We're going to get the patch notes probably early next week. And the blog post, the forum post said, along with more details about what else we can expect next week. Dun, dun, dun. So I'm imagining maybe some Battleground stuff, maybe some dual stuff, maybe some Merc stuff kind of sprinkled in there in this patch as well. Who knows? Maybe it's just a straight up expansion announcement. Yeah, Blizzard knows. So let's move into let's talk about BGs a little. We haven't talked about BGs yet.
Have a good battle, friend.
So we talked a little bit about, what we've been playing, how much we've been playing BGs in our top of the show talk. But we did get a couple of questions coming in from the patron Discord. Again, if you'd like to support the show, you can head on over to patreon.com/tack. Rakamar wrote in and said, what did you think of Diablo in Battlegrounds? Do you want to see more stuff like this? Do you want it to be more frequent or less frequent? I know, Hat, I know you didn't play during the Diablo event, so it's okay. This is probably more of a bouncing it off Vigil question, but I had Diablo in exactly 0 of my lobbies. I never got offered him. No one ever played him. So it was like he wasn't even there, and it was only a week-long event. So like, if anything, I would say it was probably interesting. I saw a couple of streamers play it, but maybe it should have been, I don't know, more powerful or lasted longer. Like one of the two. It seemed like people were getting their butts kicked with Diablo in the first couple days and then just stopped picking him. So I don't know. Did you get to play Diablo at all?
I did. I picked him. This is going to sound just like I'm flexing. I picked him one time, and the time I picked him, I won.
Man, but like you are. We're just
listen.
We're just gonna call this entire episode is just gonna be Vigil Flex.
No,
you overwhelmed with all this winning. Can you not hold all these trophies and medals? Is that what's going on? I can tell you from losing a lot in Mercs, it's fine down here. The water's great.
We have fun even when we lose here on the Angry Chicken.
Listen, I am 6.5K at Battlegrounds. Okay, I'm not a Battleground superstar. Like I'm sure at higher MMR he's terrible. I got lucky in the fact that the board that I had beat every single person in the lobby. So I had a handful of treasures, and I was like, "This is crazy." So I don't think that's everyone's experience. I think that you don't get 7 treasures because that's not for everyone, but I got very lucky and was like, okay, summon a random demon, give my minions +1 attack. Like this guy gets Wind Fury, do this, do that. It's like, and it was just like, I just couldn't lose. Like once I got them all, but I did.
Oh, Vigil, I can't lose.
No, but I have seen streamers like, you know, I have watched streamers where they're like, they get dumpstered. And Diablo, I think back to the question, I think it's cool that they did something like this. I'm glad that it's not staying, and I'm glad that it was like a limited time event. Like it makes it more special and more like fun to play. But I think as a hero, I'm glad he's leaving, you know, like I don't think he was he like made Battlegrounds amazing or he made it terrible. It was just the entrance of another hero. You know what I mean?
Apparently, chat room, you're right. Ergopad in the chat room said Diablo's still in. I thought he was gone because literally I haven't seen him. But yeah, he's still in for another few days. So, but yeah, it is quite a short event in comparison to a lot of the other stuff that we've had. Usually, when we've had other events in Hearthstone, they go on for like multiple weeks, like the Fire Festival in the summer. And I'm trying to think, aren't there usually like 2 or 3 events over the course of the year? It's not just the Fire Festival, or sorry, the Festival.
There's Hallows End and there's Winter Veil.
Right. Okay. I'm always not sure because they use the same names as WoW. I'm like, am I remembering WoW events, or are these in Hearthstone 2? Or
yeah, I think there's Hallows End, there's Winter Veil, there's Eggs. There's one with Eggs. It's like
Noble Garden.
It's the Easter, but definitely not Easter one,
right?
As opposed to the Halloween, but not Halloween, and Christmas, but not Christmas. And this one as well, the timing's a little weird. I don't know if this is true for all of the events, but Diablo and Duels and Dual Class Arena, so probably also Diablo and BGs, staying until pre-patch for the next expansion. So that means until the first week of December. So we got another few weeks.
I don't know why I thought it was only supposed to be in Battlegrounds for like a week.
Because that's what it said. It said from the 2nd to the 9th. And so Duels and Arena, I know, are staying until the next expansion, until pre-patch the next expansion. I don't know about Battlegrounds. That might be more temporary.
Okay.
But it might also not be. Yeah. I don't know. I don't play BGs.
But to Rakamar's question, I think as like a casual Battlegrounds player, something like this is awesome. You know, having it be a limited time thing is awesome. Like, I think I would be curious to hear someone's opinion on this who like mains this game, like Alyssa or Sun Glitters or Sunbake and Relaxer. What used to be 12 Wins. Like, I think it would be interesting to hear what like someone who mains this game, streams it for 8+ hours a day, what they think about it. Because for me, it's fun and exciting to have him in the lobby or to play with him. Like, I think it's fun, but it's like I'm not the one who's risking like serious MMR on this kooky event kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how it was like back when Doom in the Tomb came out. It overstayed its welcome, and it was just like, it made standard like really tough. Like, it was fun for the first week, and then it was like Evolved Shaman it was just miserable. And it was like,
and it's stuck around forever.
Yeah. And I sacrificed a lot of my ladder like rank on that, like, and it was too much. Like, so as someone who plays Battlegrounds casually, like, I liked it, but it's also not my main mode, and I'm not the one risking crazy MMR in these games, so I thought it was cool. It'd be fun to do stuff like this every so often, but
I think that it's actually fine to do special events in Battlegrounds as opposed to constructed, because I think it has less of an impact on higher MMR lobbies. Like, because you get the choice of heroes, you can choose to just avoid him. Like, if he's offered to you, just don't take him. Now he's not in the lobby. If he's not offered to you, unless it is a very powerful or very overpowered hero, if you're at a high MMR and you're very worried about your MMR, you're probably not going to take him, right? If he's middle of the road, you're going to take the hero that is the best. So I think it kind of like self-regulates in that way at the high MMR. But if you are at a lower MMR, you can just pick them and play them and have fun and just get first, like Vigil.
Flex.
I got again. I got lucky because I got 7 treasures, and I was like, "This is crazy!" Like,
yeah, you got lucky because you sat on the computer and then you queued up and you're like, "Hey, wait, I'm Vigil," and then you won. That's how that was your. So lucky. Whenever I sit down, I'm never Vigil. Like I don't know. Maybe someday the shuffler will be on my side. But
yeah,
so
I like the experiment.
I don't play Battlegrounds right now, but I do play Twitter. And the initial impression from BG mains that were tweeting about this is that he Diablows. He was so bad that the event felt unexciting because there was nothing new. You just picked someone else and then moved on. So like I didn't expect that reaction, but like BG's players want cool stuff too. And because it's a sealed pool, because everyone has the same restrictions, it's almost a chance for them to show off their skills a little bit more if everybody has this same thing, unless it's really crazy broken out of the park, which I guess Sneed might be. I don't know. But Diablo, I think that there's an audience, even at the highest levels, for this sort of temporary thing, as long as it's done well. Remember, Dark Moon prizes were very divisive, but some of the high-level players really liked it.
That's true. And I think, they were more powerful, I think, and obviously in every lobby, I think they were way more impactful than at least the Diablo event. So I think that there's room to play around with Battlegrounds. And as much as we talk about, wanting to be high MMR, Battlegrounds at this point in time doesn't actually have anything to reward high MMR with, except like there's no tournaments, there's no like money, there's no, it's just bragging rights. So just air quotes. I'm sorry, everyone. I said just bragging rights because bragging's very important. I know a lot of people, hold their MMR very dearly, and there is the leaderboard posted, but like there's no like money or esports tied to it. So I think you can mess around with it a little bit more than standard, at least. Vigil, who does the second question about Battlegrounds come from tonight? Do you have the show notes handy? Am I throwing you under the bus?
I do.
Okay.
No, I do. The second Battlegrounds question is from King Dupless. And it says, don't know if this has ever been asked, but who are the cutest BG heroes, base portrait and alt portrait, and best bartender?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I have a lot to talk about on this because
This is going to be longer than our opening conversation about feeling overwhelmed. Like this is the real meat and potatoes of the show right here.
This is what it comes down to.
Hot or not section.
So I played Battlegrounds. I played Battlegrounds a lot, and I play with people from my stream. Kasha specifically, we play all the time. And I couldn't stop saying when it came out, I couldn't stop saying Soggy Yagi to her because it was so funny and so cute. So for me, it's the duo of Soggy Yagi and Cute Thune, like by far are the best. Unfortunately, though, I don't own them, and I don't know if they're ever going to come back, but they were around at the time with all the harassment stuff going on in Blizzard. So I didn't give any money. Like I still played Hearthstone because I owned, I owned the cards and Battlegrounds was free. So I was still playing it. But every time I'd be in a lobby, there'd be people with Cute Thune, and I'd be like, oh man, like I would have snapped off and bought this, but I'm not giving
timing. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm not giving Blizzard money and, until things changed, until the actual changes are made. But so I don't own them. I wish I did, but for me, Cute Thune and Soggy Yagi are the two cutest, like by far.
I love that you even know the names.
How do you not know Cute Thune and Soggy Yagi? He's in a bathtub. Yog is in a bathtub playing with little pirate ships. It's so adorable, dude. It's so adorable.
Yeah.
And also, in that same bundle, Pet Shop Bigglesworth.
Yeah,
looks
okay.
so pretty.
I honestly, Vigil, I thought I had you figured out because I know that we're cat gamers here, so I'm a little disappointed that you weren't on the Bigglesworth train. But I mean, honestly, That whole cuties bundle is just like, all of them are just so good, except for that weird Shutterwalk, man. That one's
General
terrible.
Shutterwalk.
Tuxedo or something?
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
Very sophisticated.
Get me out of here. Give me the cute ones.
yeah. But I love the Cthulhu one, and then yuck.
It's called Cute Thune.
Sorry, Cute Thune. Sorry.
Oh my god, it's so adorable.
I think Vigil's gonna disown me as a friend in a second.
So King Dupless, for me, it's a two-way tie between just saying the word Soggy Yagi, because that is a fun phrase to say, Soggy Yagi, and the actual picture of Cute Thune being all like timid behind a rock.
Yeah, he's all like hot, and he's like, oh, it's so little.
It's so adorable. And the best bartender, I don't own any other bartenders other than the what's the other the headless one. I don't even know what it's called. Yeah, it's
There's
like
a headless bartender.
Yeah,
Not Mega Bob?
No. It's the same. It's this. I play Overwatch. I used to play a lot of Overwatch. It's the same voice actress as Ana in Overwatch.
Oh, the one for the one starts with a V. It's the WoW.
Oh,
vendor.
Venari. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that free or something, or did I buy it in a bundle or
Yes.
something? Okay, it might have been that,
Login
but that's
bonus, I think.
It's the only other bartender I own is that one. So I can't comment. I've been told, however, by somebody that Dragon Bob is the best one, because he says something like if you're having a bad game, you know, he's normally like, you can turn this around. He says he's like here, like, hug one of these baby dragons. You can turn this around, like something super cute like that.
Oh man. Well, I like Fizzy. Fizzy is my go-to bartender, but also I feel like Garrett isn't here and I need to represent him and be like, Tiki Rag, how are you picking Dragon Bob in a world where Tiki Rag exists?
Does
I got
Tiki
that covered. I have not switched off Tiki Rag since I got him.
Okay, there we go.
Does Tiki Rag tell you to hug a baby dragon if you're having a bad game?
Oh no, he yells at you. He's the most negative part. He's like, basically, you're not living up to my expectations, insect.
He's not negative. I just have to do a little better. It's fine.
He's not angry. He's just disappointed.
Yeah, no, he's angry. He's a giant ball of fire. But like the line where he's like, sometimes I get tired of yelling, ha, just kidding. And then he yells more. And he does the clue thing. He does the flames on the side of my face. Or no, wait, that's the shaman hero portrait. That's, but yeah, Matt Mercer did a fantastic job as usual.
Yeah. So yeah, I play with the cute and adorable Fizzy, but yeah, Tiki Rag is a close second. Although I have Dragon Bob, but I don't think I've ever actually equipped him. I had a really bad habit of like just buying bundles. Because I was like, yeah, I want Battlegrounds portraits. But the big problem I have with Battlegrounds portraits is, unlike Constructed, I can't choose to play a specific hero. So I'm like, I've had super adorable little Bigglesworth forever, and I don't think I've been offered the kitty since I switched to that skin. I'm like, damn it, I just want to be adorable.
You want to play Dragon Reno so bad, but you never get him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so upsetting. But yeah, so hopefully we answered your question, King Dupless. Let's take a couple emails before we finish off the show.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, did you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
You can send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Our first email comes to us from BioVisionary, who says, "Hi, birds, but mad. With the launch of the mini set, I'm thinking about money. I've really enjoyed Stormwind, so I've got a complete set at this point. But cost-wise, is it better to just open packs rather than buy the set outright? With duplicate protection, wouldn't it be pretty easy to get the rest of the cards? Also, with all the stuff happening at Blizzard, I'm having a real crisis of whether or not I should give them real money when the next set rolls around. How are you guys justifying it in your head?" Which actually, when you were talking about Battlegrounds bundles and giving Blizzard money, Vigil, I totally forgot that this was part of BioVisionary's question. But I think it's definitely part of what I think a lot of the community is kind of struggling with right now is with everything happening at Blizzard and, you know, with all the lawsuits, with all the union busting, it can be a difficult company to support monetarily. And for me, at least, because it's not so much in terms of Hearthstone, but in terms of World of Warcraft, because you basically, you know, have to pay every month to play. For me, it's basically just been that's where my friends are and that's where my fun is. And I justify it in that way, I guess, is, you know, like continuing to support the devs that are making my life a little happier. It doesn't mean that I, you know, support Blizzard, the company, with what they're doing. I think I, you know, support the workers, and I am vocal on the podcast and on social media and stuff about like voicing my displeasure with what they're doing. And I've also definitely cut back in terms of the money that I'm spending. And I think that the battle pass has actually really, or the whatever they call it, tavern pass, has almost like helped me do that, because I have more gold now because of the tavern pass than any other time really in Hearthstone's history. So this might actually, like, I'm in the same boat as you for sure. And this might be the first, like I bought the mini set with my in-game gold, and it might be the first expansion where I don't buy the pre-order. So yeah, it's definitely on my mind too.
Yeah, I'm with you on this, on the same. I've only ever bought pre-orders. I've never like paid for packs outside of pre-orders. And you know, when the harassment stuff came to light, like I just didn't play Blizzard games for a while. It took like, you know, a lot of soul searching to figure out what I was going to do. But then, you know, I realized that there are good people that still work on this game, and there are people who dedicate their lives to give us all this enjoyment. And it sucks for them to put so much of themselves into this and then have, you know, people just walk away from it. So I haven't completely given up on it, and I'm still not sure. I'm leaning towards the fact that I'm not going to buy the new expansion. But it's always going to be on the back of your mind, and no matter what, like there's never going to be a time when it's going to be like, oh, I'm just going to feel comfortable with giving them this to have this, you know? And it's like, it's so hard because this isn't just a Blizzard thing, you know, like this whole like industry is plagued with this kind of stuff. And it's so sad, but it's like, how could I justify giving, you know, Riot money for Valorant skins and not Blizzard, when I'm sure Riot has the same kind of stuff going on? You know what I mean? It's like there are people who make the game and are so like good with the community and want to make this a better place that it's hard to like look at them and hear them and see their communication and their tweets and stuff and be like, well, I'm still not going to support you. You know, like that sucks. Like that's hard to hear. Because if I was on the other side of that and I was the one, you know, being the person in the light and trying to keep this going and trying to like make a living and a career out of this, and then all the other stuff in the background's happening, it's like it feels like it's on me, but it's not my fault, you know? Mm-hmm. And that sucks. So I'm in the same boat. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I didn't buy the Storm and Battle Pass, which is a bummer because, as you know, Joss, I'm a very big when I played WoW, I'm Alliance through and through. Like I have this on my desk.
It's so gross. It's, guys, like, just don't even look. Just
I'm Alliance through and through. And when
my bored eyes.
When the Battle Pass came out, I said, dude, I'm going to get the Stormwind coin, and I'm never going to change it because I want the Alliance coin so much. And I didn't buy the Battle Pass, and I don't own it. And I'm probably not going to own it. I'm probably not going to buy it. And it sucks to know that it's like, I snapped off on everything they did, like any bundle they did, any skin they did. And like, it's getting to a point now where even if all the harassment stuff didn't come to light and I were still supporting them, financially, like I would fall behind on the cosmetics coming from someone who's owned.
There's so many now.
Everything in the game all the time. And
people.
like, dude, the Tamsin skin is my favorite warlock skin, like far and away on the battle pass. And I won't have it. And that sucks. But I think about it, it's not on me, like it's not my fault that I don't own it, because I could, but I'm not the reason I don't own it, like, and especially even if things change and, in the future, I do support them financially and all this stuff. It's like, this will be a reminder of what happened and why, this will be there for me. This will be an incomplete part of my collection for a reason, and that's not going to go away. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's also not a bad thing to have a reminder. Honestly, I've been very pleasantly shocked and surprised that we're still talking about this, honestly, with how quickly the news cycle moves and everything else. And the amount of scandals, for lack of a better term, that have happened in gaming over the years. Like, I really and truly thought we'd be talking about this for a week at most, and everyone would just kind of shrug and move on. And the fact that it's really stuck around for a lot of people it makes me have a lot more hope than I did in July. and yeah, so if having that hole in your collection is, another reminder to keep thinking about it, to keep trying to make gaming a more inclusive place, and, trying to advocate for the workers that make the games that make your life better, then maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think for BioVisionary, like, they're saying, how are you guys justifying it in your head? I don't think there is a justification. I think every person is different, like one person could, that harassment stuff came to light and Blizzard doesn't exist to them anymore. You know what I mean? Harassment could come to light and it doesn't change anything they do. You know what I mean? It's every single person takes it differently, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. Like someone who swears off Blizzard is no more right than someone who continues to play Blizzard games, like that is not what is going to make the change the problems in the industry. Like that's not gonna change things. And so I think it's not me justifying it for you or for Joce or for Hat or for anybody by Visionary. I think you need to just think about it critically and think, like, is this what I want to do? Like, do I want to continue to play in this way, or do I want to give it up completely, or do I want to keep supporting the people that still are at the company, still doing good things, and maybe not, and maybe not all 60 of the dollars you spend on the pre-order goes to their pockets and helps them. Maybe it's only like it trickles down to like $1, but is that worth it for you to like know that like you're helping someone who works on this game, which you play and which, you obviously follow podcasts, and like it's a big part of your life, so that's you have to justify it for yourself. That's what I think about Visionaries. You have to come to grips with what you want it to be for you.
Yep. I will challenge you slightly, Vigil. There is one wrong way to do this, and that is to judge other people who make a different decision than you. Don't do that. If you decide to disavow yourself of Blizzard, don't go into a Blizzard stream and be like, how can you play this game? Because they want to.
Of course.
The answer I give, I'm gonna give as many disclaimers as I give for the answer itself. I get codes from Blizzard. They send me swag. I have a lot of friends that work there. I don't pay for a lot of the Blizzard stuff, and I do also pay for other Blizzard stuff. We've had good relationships with them on this show and on other shows. Like, all that stuff happens. Also, the as a Blizzard content creator, the month after this came out sucked. It was terrible. a lot of staring at the wall and like, what do I do now? But the answer that I give is not going to be, Vigil, you're 100% right. Everyone needs to make their own decision. This is a personal decision. But the answer that I'm going to give is based on talking to some of the people that work there, listening to the news, and just paying attention to what happens. There is this desire that we have both inside the game of Hearthstone and in life to believe that we have control over things. The reality is, choosing to buy a pre-order or not buy a pre-order does not affect the stock price. And really, Bobby Kotick and his gang, Bobby and the ABKs, as we call them around here, no one's ever said that before, their customers are not you. Their customers are the shareholders, and they sell shares to shareholders in large volumes, and how the company performs allows them to sell those. The people that make the games are proud of their games. It takes more strength to stay than it does to leave. And I'm not going to judge anyone that left because they couldn't take it anymore. A lot of really great people left very recently. There's some really good Twitter threads going around this week saying, hey, instead of hiring more women, ask why your senior women leave. I thought that was a great question to ask, and there's no great answer to it. But the people that work there want to make fun games that you like. That's why they keep making them. That's why they stay, because it would be not easier, but simpler to leave and say, I couldn't do it anymore. I got to go. But that's their livelihood. And maybe they spent their entire lives saying, I want this job and I finally have it. And now I have to leave because it's tainted. The game is still the thing that they want to make. And the culture combined with the culture and the game that they make don't necessarily have to overlap. Now, there's some that does overlap. And I think, wow, there's a really big reckoning in that team because a lot of that stuff goes way, way back. The developers are doing what they can to try and make things better. But the people that do have the power and do have the control, they're not us. They're the workers. The people that work there, when they did the walkout, the stock price took a huge dip. It did not recover. And then another letter came out saying we're making real changes. More changes came out last week. The contract workers finally got paid holidays. They had no paid holidays. They were taking forced unpaid leave for 2 weeks. They were just going to lose 2 weeks of pay around Christmas because they're contract workers and they just got no rights. That changed this past week. Change is really happening because the workers stick together. The best thing to do here as a customer, for me, as a person that consumes these products, is to listen to the people that make the game, that have the power. Listen to the workers and say, what do you want? And they say, I'm proud of my work. I would appreciate if you engage with that, if you think that it's worth buying. I think it is, so I bought it. Not saying everyone has to do that, but buying it doesn't make you a part of the patriarchy. And choosing not to buy it doesn't mean that you're making the wrong choice. But the thing to do here is to support the people with the power and the workers. It's nice to believe that we have some level of individual control where we are. I don't really think we do. But the people that work there have collective control over their own destiny, and they are making changes happen every day in a way that is inspiring and unexpected. And like you said, Joss, this could have gone away in a week, and it didn't. And thrilled is the wrong word, because obviously I would prefer there to be no harassment in the first place. But in terms of like, when
thrilled about the conversation still happening, I'm thrilled that the conversation's still happening.
Life gave us some lemons. We're going to make a vodka lemonade, like whatever. We're going to roll with it. It'll be fine. But I'm glad the workers have the power and they're proud of what they do. And I'm proud of it. And Hearthstone's a fun game. And my biggest problem with it is what we said at the beginning of the show. There's too much Hearthstone. That's my biggest problem with Hearthstone. There's too much good stuff that I want to do. I'm going to give them money so they keep making that. And I don't feel too torn up about it now. I did at the time. And it was hard for me to buy stuff at the time. I have made my peace with it. Don't judge anyone for making a different decision, but that's where I'm at. Also, if you call me a shill in the YouTube comments, I will make a frowny face in reply to your comment.
Look out, you don't want Hat's frowny face. So just before we move to the end of the show, I did want to say BioVisionary did have a second part of his question, which was, is it better to open packs or to buy the set outright in terms of like spending money?
So now that we got the disclaimers out of the way, let's shill, because this is the best value you'll buy all year. The mini set always is. The mini set is the only time when you get to buy cards at full dust value because you know you don't have them and you get cards that you get to play right away for what they're worth. If you open in packs, there are 4 legendaries in here. That's 80 packs on average to get them, or 2,000 gold, which is less than 80 packs, 20 packs.
Yeah, that's 20 packs for the gold. Yeah.
You're not going to find a better deal. This is the thing that you should buy every expansion if you are a constructed player. Period. End of story. It is by far the best value. You get 66 cards at full dust value.
Now,
just get it.
I was going to say, yeah, value, definitely. Are there enough cards within the mini set to warrant buying the whole thing? Or can you like just target some?
You could. The big upside of the mini set, there's so many. You can't target the legendaries effectively. And there are 4. That's a lot.
Yes,
you can target the rares and the commons if you really don't want to buy. But the trick here is if you ever get standard packs, which they give sometimes now, standard packs, you hold the standard packs, you buy the mini set. If you're like Biovisionary and you own the full Stormwind and the full standard set, the day the new expansion comes out, those standard packs, because of duplicate protection, turn into new set packs. You just open them first. You will exclusively get new set cards. You get bonus packs for the next expansion. So buying this actually gets you more cards for the next set too. It's like magic.
Look at you, Hat and your logic.
I don't know if this is possible, but Biovisionary, if you can let me know if your name came from Magic the Gathering, because there's a card called Biovisionary. So I don't know if you can get a hold of me somehow, but let me know if that's where you got it from.
You share a Discord with him, wink, wink.
That is true. That is true. I am in the patron Discord.
Yeah, so there you go. Speaking of the patron Discord, TAC is supported by our epic patrons. You can become a patron over at patreon.com/TAC. You get access to the aforementioned TAC Discord, as well as some other perks. We wanted to give a very special thank you and shout out to our Patreon producers, Declan H., Jeffrey D., and Dustin C. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. Normally, we record on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/AMoveTV. Garrett is not here this week. He is away on his anniversary trip with Katie. So do go and wish him a very happy anniversary over on Twitter. But yeah, normally we are recording over on twitch.tv/AMoveTV. So Vigil, you are our guest this week. Where can folks find you and all your awesome content?
You can find me on Twitch 4 days a week. Vigil SC on Twitch. Doesn't stand for StarCraft, unfortunately. But no, Vigil SC. I stream. I used to stream a lot of Hearthstone. I've been streaming mostly Valorant lately. I'm bad, but it's fun to play. So
I try watching you sometimes stream, and I'm just like, I don't understand what's happening at all.
I always say it's a mix of Counter-Strike and Overwatch. It's got the abilities of Overwatch, but it's like Counter-Strike.
Okay, so I've never played or watched Counter-Strike, so that's probably why I'm so lost.
Yeah, I'm not good, but come hang out. We have a great community, and they're fun to talk to. It's a good time. So Vigil SC on Twitch. I hope you're not expecting good gameplay because you won't see it.
All right. Ridiculous Hat. What about you?
You can find me at twitter.com/RidiculousHat, the hub of my content. I also have 2 other Hearthstone podcasts for some reason. CoinConcede.com, we make the competitive side of the game more accessible to you, and Vicious Syndicate, a data-driven look at the standard metagame. Both will have quite a bit to talk about this week. Thank you, Blizzard, for the nerfs. I appreciate the content. And then we can just roll into expansion reveal next week, and we'll just keep that moving. Thank you so much in advance. Jocelyn, where can we find you besides raising money for charity, by the way? Congrats on your extra life stream.
Thank you. I was going to mention that for sure. We had an awesome extra life this year. We beat our team goal. So we raised almost $3,500 on Saturday for the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals. I personally have hit $2,100. So I'm going to try to push that to $2,500 by the end of the year. So if you would like to donate, we are going to do more streams. We had a lot of very, very, very generous donors this year. So if you would like to join them and support the Children's Miracle Network, you can go to bit.ly/TGI or the Gamers Inn, not Vigil's band, although also amazing.
TGI, same initials. Yeah, but the Gamers Inn.
Yeah. So
does that seem for StarCraft?
Oh. Yeah, so the link is bit.ly/TGI Extra Life 2021. You can donate to anyone on the roster, but yeah, I would appreciate my extended goal getting there by the end of the year. But we're going to do some Hearthstone streams. We always do some Christmas streams. Like, we've still got a lot planned. It was a very successful Extra Life this year. You can also follow me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joce Plays. That's JOCE Plays. And if you want to catch up with Garrett, you can go follow him on Twitter at Garrett Art, or you can check out amove.tv, which is where he hosts all of his wonderful podcasts. That's going to do it for us this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. Job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.